for Wednesday's edition of our daily dose of movement, right? Starting off with those 10 belly breaths. Allow yourself the grace and space to spend 30 to 45 minutes just on you. After we've completed that, we're gonna go with 10 shoulder rollouts. I like to use a band for my shoulder rollout when I know I'm gonna go into a pull apart. With the band pull apart, our big priority is making sure that we lock those elbows out. And when we think about pulling, we wanna pull the shoulder blades together and try and get the wrist physically behind the shoulders so that we get a big long pull through that mid back. We're then gonna go into just 5 air squats. I know we're gonna do some more air squats in the murph prep today, but it's just the best way I find to get ready to do a bunch of air squats is to do a few air squats. So we're gonna do that for 3 rounds. Once we've completed our warm up, we're gonna do the same murph prep that we did on Monday. So we're either gonna use a 60-second window or a 90-second window, depending on how quickly you can get the reps done. So a round today is gonna be 1 round of Cindy. 5 pull-ups. Remember, if we're doing a pull-up, we want elbows fully extended, chin physically passing the bar, and then back to full extension. If we're gonna do a ring row, if we've got access to a TRX or a set of rings, go ahead and use those. We're gonna double the pulls, however. So 5 pull-ups would be 10 ring rows or 10 bent over rows. I've got a set of dumbbell here. So if we've got dumbbells at home, we'll let that chest dip forward, keeping the elbows tight to the body. We'll go ahead and row. 10 of those. 10 push-ups. Wrist, elbow, shoulder stacked. We're gonna come all the way down to the ground till the chest makes physical contact with the ground, maintaining a straight body position. We're gonna press up until our elbows are fully extended again. If we don't have high volume push-ups and we want to avoid coming to the knees, go ahead, grab a box. If you're at home, use your table, a kitchen chair, kind of whatever we've got around so that we can keep that same straight body position. Chest is going to make physical contact. In this case, our ground is going to be the box. Back to full extension. So we're really working on getting that body holding that full, long, straight body position. From there, we're gonna go into 15 air squats. So heels outside of the hips. We're gonna look to keep the chest nice and tall, getting the hip to crease the knee, coming back to a full standing position. So we wanna make sure that we avoid the chest leaning forward and then never really opening back up again. We always wanna finish each air squat with a big open hip. Again, if we are completing that full round in 30, maybe 35 seconds, go ahead and stay every minute on the minute. If it is taking you 45 seconds or longer to get that work done, stay on that 90 so you get just a little bit of rest in there. So we're gonna do that for 4 rounds before we head into our workout. Today is going to be a heavy, high skill movement, right? So we've got a heavy barbell and then a high skill with that toes to bar, right? That high skill gymnastics movement. With our deadlift, we are suggesting a 315 for the men and a 225 for the women. So we're going heavy on this. Adjust as needed. If your 1 rep max is 225, you're probably not going to use 225 for the workout today. Go ahead and scale that back. So I'm going to use 225 as my 1 rep max. If I'm doing a heavy, I'm going to try and get up to maybe 185. Probably it would be more than sufficient for today, especially since we're combining with the toes to bar. So with our deadlift, foot position, it's going to be heels underneath the hips when we come up to the bar. If I think about the knot in my shoes, right, where I tie my shoes, I'm going to put that knot directly underneath the bar. Index finger, it's going to go right at the smooth and the knurling. The farthest you want to let your shin get away from the bar is going to be your shoelace underneath the bar. I physically like to have my shin directly on the bar. For me, I know that if I start to let the knee lead the way forward and the bar starts rolling, I'm setting myself up in a bad position. If we're not all that familiar with deadlifts, leave the legs nice and tall. I, again, like to have that bar directly on my shin. From here, I'm gonna pull my hips back and down. So I'm thinking about pushing my butt towards the wall, and I'm gonna come as low as I can until I feel a long stretch down the hamstring. I'll actually feel a little tension in the top of the calf. I know I'm going too low. If I start to shift forward, I lose the tension in my hamstring, and I now have that in my quad. So if the front of your leg is on fire, we're too low. Bring that hip back up, long stretch through that hamstring. From here, I'm gonna fall back through the heel to a full standing position. I'm gonna use that good morning that we've been doing a lot of lately. Hip's gonna go back, chest is gonna come forward. Bar's physically gonna stay along the body until I feel the top of that kneecap. That's my cue to then hinge at the hip to get back down to the floor. Notice my end position is a good start position. So we're looking to avoid that high hip, straight leg, as well as coming down into this clean type position where my knee is forward. So we should always think vertical shins when we're doing deadlifts. Toes to bar, if we have access to a pull-up bar, awesome, go ahead and use that. Hanging from a bar, we physically want the toes to come up and touch the bar that our hands are on. I obviously don't have a pull-up bar in this shot. Otherwise, I would go ahead and demo that for you. If we do have a pull-up bar, but we don't have toes to bar, we can do a hanging knee tuck, making sure that the knees come up past parallel. If we don't have access to a pull-up bar, it's not the end of the world, go ahead and sub in a V-up today. So a V-up is gonna be on the floor. We're gonna start heels on the ground, hands on the ground. We're gonna look to come to that sit bone, come up, touch toes, and head back down. So we're looking at a heavy 10-8-6-4-2, and then doubling that for toes to bar, or doubling it for V-up. So if we don't have access to a pull-up bar, go ahead and put in a V-up. Our capacity is going to be a 10-minute amrap, so as many rounds as possible. If I don't have a barbell at home to use for deadlifts, go ahead, grab dumbbells, set of kettlebells, right? Use what you've got. If I'm using dumbbells, I'm gonna have the heels underneath the hips just like I would for a standard deadlift. The difference is I don't have to worry about the bar path itself. So the knees can come a little more forward, but the head of the dumbbell is gonna touch the ground back to a full extension of the hip at the top. We're gonna do 12 deadlifts, 12 V-ups, and then we're gonna do a 30-second seated L-sit hold, which is way more words than are needed to describe something that is very simple yet challenging. So from a seated position, I'm gonna use my hands to brace myself at the sides. I can even just use my fingertips, but I'm gonna look to get both heels off the ground at the same time and then hold for 30 seconds. If you can't hold for a full 30 seconds, don't give up on it, break it up as needed. So maybe 10-second hold, 1 second off, 10-second hold for 3. So you want to compile a total of 30 seconds in this kind of elevated L-seated position. Much more challenging than it looks, especially when you start compounding it. So we're going to do a 10-minute AMRAP of the 12 deadlift, 12 V-up, and then that 30-second hold, as many rounds as you can in 12 minutes. From there, we're going to go a pigeon on each side for a minute for our finisher. So with our pigeon, sometimes called a figure 4, one leg will extend back, opposite leg is going to come across the body. So kind of from the side, we're coming in front, from a straight on. I'm looking to try and get my shin across the body now. I'm not quite there, so I've got some work to do with my flexibility, mobility in the hip. No problem there. We're going to do 1 minute on each side. And then we're going to drop down into a 1-minute puppy dog. So I like to have my knees just slightly outside of the hips. I'm then going to extend arms overhead, rest your forehead on the ground, and really just let that mid-back sink and relax. Big breaths, just trying to get everything from your shoulder to your spine to relax. We'll see you guys tomorrow for Recovery Thursday.